Hi, I'm Matt Weber from Home Improvement and Repairs Magazine, and today we're going to take a look at how to build a table for a ceramic grill, and we're going to make it from cypress. One reason we chose cypress for this project is because cypress trees produce a preservative which protects the wood from decay and repels insects like termites and carpenter bees. This makes it a durable choice for outdoor projects. Cypress has natural wood grain character, and it's also easy to cut, sand, and shape with a router. You'll begin by gathering all materials, then cutting the boards to size for your table. And you can easily alter the size of this table to suit your needs. The table shown here is 60 inches long. Build the table about 30 inches wide to have room to fit the grill. I first assembled the 2x4 frame of the tabletop, fastening all joints with a combination of screws and glue. The glue will help arrest any movement in the table. Make sure to double check measurements and build the frame perfectly square. I'm going to pause for a minute to talk about fasteners. On this project I used two primary sizes of fasteners, a structural screw, which is like a modern lag replacement, and a decking type screw. The important things about the ones I've chosen is they have self-starting tips, which means the end of the screw is fluted like a drill bit. It means these penetrate the wood without the need of a pilot hole. If you choose different types of screws that do not have self-starting tips, I'm going to recommend that you pre-drill pilot holes for all of your screws. That way you won't split the wood. If you do not pre-drill the holes, then you might split the grain, and that's going to make your wood project a little uglier. To build the table legs, first I fashioned some 2x4 boards into 4x4s. To ensure the tightest fit, use the tabletop frame as a guide to measure and construct the H-shaped leg assemblies. Use squares and clamps as needed to hold the boards in position as you make the connections. To fasten the cross braces between the legs, I nailed a metal bracket at each joint. Once the legs are built, finish up the tabletop. A center bracket will add strength and help maintain alignment. I fastened the bracket with glue and angled screws from inside the frame to reduce visible fasteners. I cut the top boards of the table long enough to overhang the ends of the frame by an inch. I also spaced the 1x6 boards evenly so they would overhang the sides by an inch. Now that I've got the tabletop and the legs assembled, I'm going to go ahead and apply stain to all the table parts while it's still easy to access all their sides and edges. Okay, we have stained the parts of our table and it's time to put it together. But as we go through our final phase of assembly, the table's going to get very heavy. So I'm going to take the pieces up to a deck where it's going to stay, and that's where we're going to put it together. After the leg assemblies have been attached to the tabletop, the legs can be used as a guide to mark final measurements for the lower shelf rails. I cut the shelf rails to fit flush between the legs, and I attached them with metal brackets the same way I built the legs. Once the shelf rails were attached, I flipped the table over to add the 1x6 shelf boards. The shelf boards are cut to fit flush over the rails. I had to notch two of the shelf boards at each end to fit around the table legs. The outside boards of your lower shelf should look something like this on each end with the notches. Okay, well, my efforts to cut a perfect circle using a router and a jig did not go so well. So we're going to take a different approach. What we need to do is cut a 21-inch diameter pass-through through the tabletop. And what I've discovered is the dome of my grill is 21-inch circle. So we're going to use the dome of the grill as a template for our circular pass-through. Okay, the tape on the tabletop marks the posts and the framing that's beneath the tabletop. And those are the areas I want to avoid cutting through. So I'll use the dome of the grill, cover up the damage I made from the router, and keep everything right inside the framing. As long as I can do that, I am in business. Don't be afraid to put your own spin on the design of the table. You can make it as large or as small as you like to, add different types of shelving. I considered notching the front rail into the posts, but that might be a little bit too difficult for a first-time DIYer, so I wanted to keep the instruction as simple as possible. But it's a fun project, especially if you're a big grilling aficionado like I am, and Cypress is where it's at for outdoor building.